Putin has agreed to meet with Zelensky face-to-face or with the mediation of the US president. And the Trump administration has already started organizing it. This is the main outcome of the talks at the White House the day before. There, Volodymyr Zelensky met with Donald Trump, as well as the leaders of France, Germany, the United Kingdom, Italy, Finland, and representatives of NATO and the European Commission. As a result, Zelensky stated that he is ready to talk with Putin, including about the occupied territories. In fact, TSN correspondent in the USA, Olga Koshelenko, was observing from the inside.
Never before has the White House hosted so many top world politicians for simultaneous negotiations. European leaders postponed their vacations, work matters, and changed their schedules in order to come to negotiations with Donald Trump together with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The anticipation was extremely tense. Behind them was the negative experience of Trump and Zelensky's negotiations at the White House in February this year, as well as Trump's very positive meeting with Putin last Friday in Alaska. The worst fears did not come true. President Trump behaved amicably. He met President Zelensky on the porch of the West Wing and personally escorted him to the Oval Office. He diffused journalists' attempts to ask provocative questions. Zelensky appeared in a hybrid version of a suit. No longer military attire, but not quite business style either. The same blogger who last time provoked with a question about attire got a comeback from Zelensky.
First of all, President Zelensky, you look great in this suit. You look really good today.
I said the same thing, remember? That's the one who attacked you last time. See, I remember.
I apologize. You look great. My first question to you, President Zelensky.
But you're wearing the same suit. See, I changed clothes, but you didn't.
The President of the United States promised to establish a lasting peace for Ukraine, not just a pause for a few years after which hostilities would resume again. Before the start of the expanded format negotiations, a snippet of a private conversation between Trump and French President Macron was accidentally picked up by a live microphone.
I can call Putin and arrange a trilateral meeting. You know, I think he wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal with me. Do you understand that? As crazy as it sounds.
Before the negotiations began, the American side insisted that both warring countries would have to make concessions, which in Ukraine's case meant giving up some of its territories to Russia. European leaders supported Zelensky's position, who refused to hand over land to the occupier.
Ukraine should not be forced to make any territorial concessions. Russia's demand that Kyiv give up the free parts of Donbas is, for comparison, equivalent to the US giving up Florida. A sovereign state cannot simply decide something like that. This is a decision that Ukraine must make on its own during negotiations.
The issue of territories was discussed in the Oval Office. The Americans even displayed a map of Ukraine showing, in percentages, the land occupied by Russia. After the negotiations, Zelensky said that he brought his own map and, for the first time, showed President Trump the real situation on the ground in detail. Ultimately, Zelensky stated that he is ready to discuss the fate of the occupied territories only with Putin.
For the first time, I had the opportunity to talk about such things with the President of the United States of America and his team, not reading from notes, but truly understanding, not using cue cards, but having a deep knowledge of every square kilometer of our land soaked, forgive me, in the blood of our soldiers. And for me, this is a very sensitive issue. I wanted to talk about this particular matter, and I truly think the President heard and clearly saw it, and there were indeed different moments, but this is truly important information. And so the significant issue of territories, this is a sensitive matter that we will leave entirely between myself and Putin.
During a break in the negotiations, Trump managed to call Putin. In a post on Truth Social, he announced that Putin had agreed to a face-to-face meeting with Zelensky.
After the meeting ended, I called President Putin and began preparations for a meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky at a location to be determined later. After this meeting, we will have a trilateral meeting with both presidents and myself.
The organization of negotiations between the presidents of the warring sides was confirmed by German Chancellor Merz. He says it could happen within the next 2 weeks, and by French President Macron. He said that he does not believe in Putin's good intentions. So a backup plan in case of his sabotage was also discussed.
The discussion concerned the possibility that no result would be achieved. The possibility that Russia would not sincerely wish to participate in this process. And at that moment, Trump announced his readiness and desire to introduce what he calls primary and secondary tariffs, which we essentially consider sanctions.
Security guarantees for Ukraine were also discussed. Trump warned that they are ready to coordinate and support, but the main responsibility should be taken by the Europeans. The next step should be either a bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin face-to-face or a trilateral one with Donald Trump as a mediator. The president of Ukraine says, "We are ready for any scenario." But neither the format, nor the time, nor the place has been determined. From Washington, United States, Olga Koshelenko, Maxim Shinkarenko, TSN 1+1.
A meeting between Putin and Zelensky could take place in Hungary. This is reported by Reuters. Donald Trump announced that his administration is preparing this summit, following yesterday's talks in Washington. The US president called Putin, and the Russians agreed to a meeting even with the mediation of the US president. According to Trump, such a meeting could take place within 2 weeks. The question of where exactly it will take place remains open. While Volodymyr Zelensky can travel anywhere, things are more complicated with Putin. After all, in the eyes of international justice, he is a wanted war criminal. Therefore, the options that previously appeared in the media, such as Rome or the Vatican, are unlikely. There, the dictator is supposed to be detained under the warrant of the International Criminal Court. Hungary is also a party to the agreement, but in May of this year, the country began the process of withdrawing from the Rome Statute. And Prime Minister Orbán has previously stated that he is ready to host the dictator himself. In total, Putin is barred from entering 125 countries around the world, including Ukraine, which ratified the Rome Statute last year. Together with the Council of Europe, we have also established a special tribunal for the crime of aggression. I have been researching the issue of holding the top criminal accountable for a long time. So what is international justice really capable of? Even if it seems toothless to you, that's not the case. The Druzhba oil pipeline pales in comparison. The destruction of the Nikolskoye oil pumping station in the Tambov region by drones of the 14th Regiment was reported by the head of the Unmanned Systems Forces, Magyar. Yesterday, the Hungarian Minister of Foreign Affairs expressed complaints to Ukraine over the attack on the oil pipeline, which caused a halt in oil supplies to his country. Ukraine's chief diplomat responded to Peter Szijjártó's remarks. Andriy Sybiha wrote on the social network X that Budapest has been told more than once that the Kremlin is not a reliable partner, yet Hungarians remain dependent on Russian energy resources. Szijjártó did not specify which oil pipeline he was referring to. Last week, the head of Hungarian diplomacy already accused Kiev of striking an important distribution station of this oil pipeline. He also reproached the EU and Ukraine for trying to drag them into the war. Finally, he decided to remind that electricity from Hungary plays a key role in Ukraine's energy supply. Earlier in August, GOR drones attacked another facility, a pumping station of the Transneft Druzhba oil pipeline in the city of Unecha in Russia's Bryansk region.